good game. I'm Hex.
And I'm Bajo.
Well, Bajo, in the last few weeks, we've braved the trenches of Battlefield 1 and piloted giant mechs in Titanfall 2. But tonight, we take on possibly the biggest first-person shooter franchise there is.
That's right, Hex. It's shotguns in space with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Infinite. Plus, if you sometimes get a bit nostalgic for gorgeous platformers of old, then you won't want to miss Owlboy.
Also, Goose has an inspiring story for us about a group of students who are helping out the local indie game development scene.
I'll seriously sit there and play a retro game for like half an hour just to hear that music.
But first, Bajo, let's talk about another brand new console on the market, the PlayStation Pro.
Yes, or as Sony are calling it in their marketing, the supercharged PS4. And it's actually pretty exciting, Hex. This is the most powerful console that has ever been made. But before we get into like the detailed specs and the 4K and all that jazz, let's talk about the absolute most important feature.
That's the buttons.
It's got a button now. Buttons.
Love buttons.
Oh, they did that with the Xbox S and now they're doing it with this and it's the best. Real buttons. No more cats turning on my console. No more trying to figure out how just to turn it off.
I just think it looks like a sandwich. You know, like the bread and the filling. A little console sandwich.
A little delicious 4K sandwich. But how 4K is it? It's got a higher clock speed CPU, a graphics processor that more than doubles what a normal PS4 can do, and it has more memory bandwidth too. All that adds up to 4K resolution gaming at a retail price of $549. Although that 4K resolution gaming does come with a lot of caveats. Some games will be native 4K, but most will be using this kind of upscaling checkerboard system to get to 4K, which makes a lot more sense at that price point. It's all a bit confusing. What are your thoughts, Hex?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see how some of the current PS4 games look upscaled to 4K resolution, but I'm really looking forward to next year and games like Horizon Zero Dawn, which apparently will be one of the first to really show what the Pro can do. Seeing the games that developers have made with the Pro in mind will be really telling. And it may sound obvious, but you're probably going to want a pretty fancy TV that can do both high dynamic range and 4K to make this Pro console really a worthwhile purchase, I think.
Or will you, Hex? You know what I'm actually most excited about is what this console will do for 1080p gaming. Because there is potential there for higher frame rates and also higher graphical fidelity at that resolution, which of course I'm sorry you're not seeing right now because we are broadcasting in standard definition. Which makes me look younger, which is good.
Does it?
Yep.
Not the makeup's in the light or
See
anything
the
like that.
cracks. Some games will allow you to choose where you want the grunt to go, such as playing in 4K or perhaps playing in 1080p, but at 60 frames a second. And that's the one thing I want all these consoles to do much better, higher frame rate. So this is very exciting.
Yeah, and I think at the moment, a 4K gaming console is at the niche end of the market. But with 4K streaming services coming next year and the price of TVs dropping, you know, I mean, I think this is going to be the standard in 2017.
Yeah, potentially. My one big fear, though, is that standard PlayStation 4 games may eventually get left behind. Sony have said that there's going to be no PlayStation 4 Pro exclusive games, but still, something in my gut tells me that eventually there'll be games that will run great on the PlayStation Pro, but run like a dog on the standard PS4. That's completely unfounded, but I feel it in my waters, Hex. I mean, look what happened to the 3DS when the new 3DS came out. Hyrule Warriors, for example, was like 20 frames per second on the old model. Don't get me wrong, I am 110% excited that this thing exists. I am so excited, but I still have that concern.
Well, that's a valid concern to have, I think, and developers are going to have to work really hard to find that sweet spot, or at least give gamers lots of user settings to get the most out of their PS4.
Well, whatever happens, it's exciting times for gamers ahead. But we should get on with the show.
Yes. Can you name the game for this week? Eat it. It's a sandwich.
Yes, I'm a hugger. I like to think of it as a full body handshake. How hot is it that we're going to Los Angeles? Are you going out there to see friends and family?
No.
Our attachment to all things old school remains as strong as ever. So let's take flight to a 2D land of sky islands, mystery and pirates in Owlboy.
In Owlboy, you play as Otis, who is part of a race of owl-human hybrids that act as guardians of a small village in the sky. But Otis has it rough to begin with. Apart from being mute, he's not much of a flyer either. And the game's tutorial serves as a way to make you feel totally and utterly downtrodden.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking. Otis's mentor is a harsh instructor, and you already feel like you'll never live up to his lofty expectations. But it fills you with the necessary determination as a player to change Otis's standing in the community, and this opportunity comes when a gang of deadly pirates attack the village.
Mastering flight at last, Otis rises literally to the challenge. This looks like a platformer, but as you are flying most of the time, you don't really jump about on platforms that much. It's more about pathfinding and navigating enemies.
And to help you along your way is your best friend, Geddy, who can't fly but acts as your gunner, so you pick him up and carry him with you. It's a lovely friendship, and you feel the loss of him whenever you get separated. Not only for his handy ranged attack, but for his companionship as well.
After discovering the pirates' nefarious plans for your village and other sky civilizations, Otis and Geddy take it upon themselves to seek out the mysteries of the ancient Owl Temple for answers.
This game has everything you're probably hoping for just from seeing their visual design. Charming dialogue, clever environmental puzzles, and secret areas with hidden treasures to discover.
The puzzling is great, isn't it? You know, just enough to keep you stumped for a few minutes, but not too much that you're ever getting frustrated and contemplating stepping away. In fact, Owlboy completely nails nostalgic gameplay without ever feeling dated in design.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And it's paced so well. Your drip-fed mechanics at the right speed so that you're constantly building skills while occasionally being handicapped. You can't fly through waterfalls, for example, and sometimes you're left to fend without your gunner for some sections. So it never stagnates.
Yeah, there is this one stealth section where you enter this cave of evil blind gnomes who would attack you if you try to fly. I thought that was a clever way to force you to navigate a tricky area without resorting to flying.
Yeah, it was a cool idea, but I thought that was the only section where the controls kind of failed me a little bit. You can only jump, obviously, but to fly you press the jump button twice, so you find yourself kind of triggering flight whether you intend to or not.
I think it was a way to force you to choose trickier pathways, though. We had to take smaller jumps and therefore only jump once. But yeah, I do agree that bit could have been finessed a bit more.
I like that the combat wasn't just limited to shooting, though. Some enemies required you to drop Geddy so that you could perform a melee attack to break through their armor, and then pick them up again to shoot them down.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of the enemies or barricades you'll encounter are impervious to Geddy's gunfire. Instead, you'll need to rely on crafty dodging. Or perhaps pick up some other object to use as an explosive or projectile.
You become even more dexterous once you gain the ability to teleport Geddy to you at the push of a button, which you'll make the most use of in some tricky boss battles.
Yeah, they can be quite tough, but it does play into those old school boss battles that really does complete this whole experience. Eventually, you do pick up other companions along the way too, which will help you access certain areas you previously couldn't with different weapons. Alternating between these friends is all part of the juggling act.
Gorgeous high-res pixel graphics too, just beautiful. The environments and landscapes are so detailed and well designed. And while the pathfinding can seem like it's a bit maze-like and you have that anxiety over, well, what's down the other path? It's actually very clever in the way many paths loop back around or subtly guide you back to take that pathway also.
It's a pleasure to control too. With the exception of that stealth section we mentioned, you'll never fight with the controls or feel frustrated by movement. You need to be dexterous for sure, but it's so well crafted overall. Final thoughts, Hex?
Well, I often find myself saying, if you like old school games, give this a go when recommending these kinds of experiences, but Owlboy is the exception. Anyone will get a kick out of this, whether you're fond of retro games or not. And the story is so lovely. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5.
When I think of this game, Hex, charming is the word that comes to mind, but it's also clever and challenging and entertaining. It calls back to the developers' inspirations of Nintendo greats like Mario and Kid Icarus, but completely stands on its own as something quite original. So I'm giving this 4.5 out of 5 as well. Music is such an important and complicated part of video game design.
This week, Goose visited students who are part of the video game ensemble at the Australian Institute of Music.
I would probably say my favourite game soundtrack is Perfect Dark.
It would have to be The Witcher 3.
I'm gonna say Undertale.
I do actually play The Sims on occasion.
Super Mario Galaxy.
Well, it's really difficult with something like, what is window music?
It mixes in folk music from Poland.
It's a really nice combination of Gregorian chant.
It's just got a great blend of action and suspense.
That they use like these synths and sweep sounds to give you a sense of the space.
And it's really just seventh chords, to be honest.
Video game music is a powerful tool that can help bring a game to life, and the Australian Institute of Music have begun working with their student composers to create dynamic pieces for indie developers. I sat down with Megan O'Neill, who runs the course, to find out more. So Megan, first of all, can you tell me a little bit about the program you run here at AIM?
I run two parts to it. One is Sound and Interactive Media, which is an elective course, and the other one is the Video Game Ensemble, where we make soundtracks for a video game, like a full soundtrack for a game every 12 weeks. The students here at AIM are composition students, so they're studying for a Bachelor of Composition. They have a range of interests and experiences. So basically, a lot of them compose electronic music, some compose live music. They enjoy different styles. I mean, they're just a very diverse bunch of musicians, really.
I was first a gamer, and I think that pendulum swings back and forward, and there's like phases that I kind of go through. And I did spend about 18 months where I didn't play a single video game, and I focused on music composition and production, but now it's heading back the other way again.
I think music for me, like in video games, is a very big part of the gaming experience. Like I will seriously sit there and play a retro game for like half an hour on an emulator or something just to hear that music and kind of immerse myself in, you know, that happy chiptune kind of world.
I think a lot of people really enjoy music in kind of AAA games and big games, but a lot of the really innovative things are happening in indie projects. Because of my sort of tangential work with reviewing indie games, I actually know quite a lot of indie designers, so I was able to find suitable projects which are the right size and scope for us to be able to score.
So I met Megan O'Neill, and she was looking for an independent game to collaborate with her students. So at first I was a bit hesitant because it's like, okay, you want 6 people to make music for one game, but very quickly they were sending through examples of work, we were sending feedback, and it just worked really, really well.
The students have certainly told me that they really enjoy working to a brief, and then they kind of put out what they think the developer is kind of wanting with their own unique stamp on it as well, obviously. And they actually really enjoy the process of somebody else listening to their work and giving very critical feedback.
I think being forced into certain creative limitations, such as those with blind blades, which the developer asked us to use taikos and East Asian instrumentation. Having that kind of creative constraint is a way to kind of flex that creative muscle and head in just like different directions that you wouldn't think of in your regular practice.
When we were making the music for Postbug, I started off deciding I was going to make the music for the jungle area, but then I kind of started working on it, came up with this really funky kind of jungle beat, and I was like, yes, I'm so proud of this. I sent it to the developer and he wasn't very happy with it. He said he wanted something a bit more ambient, and that was when I kind of started to struggle and thought, okay, what do I do with this now? Because I was really in love with this kind of jungle beat, so now I'm gonna have to change it up.
It's a lot of guessing what they might like if they don't like that, and not being too attached to what you do make out of that, so that like when they don't like it, you're not like offended or anything.
I guess the big thing when you're working on a project like this is often the person you're working for has a fairly good idea about what they want. So it's just a matter of seeing that through and then trying to refine it to exactly what their vision is.
Mixing your ideas with the ideas that the developers have as well, and kind of meeting kind of like at a middle point where you both agree with what is good for the game.
A lot of my students come through the door feeling not very confident about their ability to pitch music to developers, but their music is excellent and their ideas are good. The game ensemble in particular is a really useful way to kind of create a supportive environment whereby they can practice their skills and gain that kind of confidence.
You bring everything you've learnt into this, because this isn't just what is video game music. It can be literally anything, and you can bring anything that you've learnt before into this. And the challenge is trying to make that work, I guess, molding things that you already know into this.
Since we're studying at a music institute, we can learn about different cultures, about different music from other places in the world. And that's a way to implement a wider variety of music into a video game. And I guess film has been doing that for a long time now. And I guess it's up to video games to now kind of catch up, especially in that artistic element.
We can demonstrate the future opportunity and potential for music to support player experience, probably in ways that designers don't ordinarily consider. It can be very isolating and difficult to learn these things by yourself. So I think education does provide an opportunity for us to actually put together a supportive environment which can be vocational and, you know, kind of support people in their learning and making it start.
It's go time!
This is Admiral Sailor Koch of the Olympus Monk. You are defeated. Death is no disgrace.
I couldn't grab my own ship. I would have killed them. This doesn't look like victory.
You can't buy your men.
We lift off on my order!
I'm the pilot of this ship. It's my job to make sure that we get back.
That is why you cannot win.
There are lots of developers working on COD games, but there are three main ones: Treyarch, Sledgehammer Games, and Infinity Ward, who made this game, Infinite Warfare. But Infinity Ward's last COD game, Ghosts, was a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, it kind of just felt a little bit caught between hardware generation changes. It was a total mixed bag of design and visuals.
Also, it was not fun. But now with Infinite Warfare, they have a real chance to turn things around.
Yeah, and with the campaign at least, dare I say it, they have. This is a solid space sci-fi adventure set far into the future.
Welcome to Fleet Week!
Militant groups form a faction and make a surprise attack on Earth's defense force, the Solar Associated Treaty Organization.
Open fire!
Naturally, space war breaks out, and wouldn't you know it, you get promoted to captain, get your own ship, and then it's all up to you to save everything.
I speak now to the Retribution. We will continue to fight you inside and outside your fading world. Your cities will surrender, broken and weak. We will not fail.
First of all, the action in this campaign is great, isn't it?
Yeah, and some cool sci-fi ideas too, with the ship and the weapon technology.
Joel. You hear that, Lieutenant? We're setting some sort of record.
Asteroid rotation's fluctuating.
Story-wise, though, it is still quite tricky to follow, which is pretty standard for COD. But I will say that this is probably the least nonsensical plot yet.
Yeah, it's not quite nonsense.
My instincts, which are aligned indelibly with your own, are that we need to engage.
Why don't we, sir?
You play generic white man soldier guy who spends much of his time arguing about war stuff with his staff.
He's still down there, Saul! Turn the ship around!
He's gone, sir.
We left him, Corporal.
There's nothing you could do, Captain.
I gave you a direct order!
Oh, he's such a hero, Hex. He fights on the ground with the troops.
We've got limited boots and guns. Lieutenant Salter and I will deploy with you.
This is a ground assault. Captain's place is on the bridge.
Not this captain. Not today.
Yes, he won't stay on the ship to plan out the war and organize things like a proper captain should. Seriously, sending your captain to the front line in the middle of a space war is a bad idea.
Yeah, he's a bad captain. But he does know a thing or two when it comes to combat. And there's plenty of cutscenes and storytelling to make this COD feel quite different as you're pulled through satisfying spaceship combat.
Splash! Got him!
Spectacular air and ship assaults.
Guard 2, hold this perimeter, engage anything that moves.
And beautifully chaotic planet-side warfare.
There's so much running about as ships explode and bases get stormed, and you're right, Hex, this does actually feel like a different kind of COD for a whole bunch of reasons. Gameplay-wise, you still get your slow-motion breaches and intense action sequences, but the combat style has shifted slightly. With Infinity Ward's last game, Ghosts, it kind of felt just like the enemies were in your way. I think we said they were actors slipping on banana peels. This time, you're also facing armored mechs, shielded robots, terrifying droids that fall apart spectacularly, and your standard goons, who often take more than a few shots to go down. The gameplay is a little tougher and more strategic.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that can shake up the COD formula is a good thing. Although I did still have trouble identifying who was on my team, just like in Ghosts.
Yeah, me too. Wear a team hat or something.
That'd be funny. Just like a little cap.
Yeah. Earth guys, other guys, whoever they are.
Yeah, okay. The futuristic setting has allowed for a few other fun ideas, giving you the option to hack and take over enemy droids. Turning life support on and off to mess up enemies. And our favourite, anti-grav grenades that lift enemies off their feet. There is even a robot companion. Is this the year for robot companions, Bajo?
Yeah, it really is turning into a great year for sci-fi and robot friends, isn't it?
I'm ready to get. Full company, sir. I mean, they're idiots, but they can fight.
I also liked that there are barely any black screens or loading now. You spend a fair bit of time walking to your transport on your ship.
Come on, we'll take the scenic route.
Talking about tactics and the war with your team along the way.
Boss, what do you call a fighter pilot in a rainstorm? Tell me. Dry as a bone.
Yeah, there are moments where you realize, like, obviously the next level's loading in this section, but I don't mind that. I really like this kind of design because it's a consecutive short timeline, kind of like how the Batman Arkham games always take place in just one night.
Yeah, and all the dialogue and chatter as you make your way between missions is solid army talk.
3 decades since we've had troops on Titan, sir.
Trial by fire.
Cooking that fuel tower will go a long way with hearts and minds.
On board or back home?
Both, sir.
In fact, I found all that surrounding dialogue much more interesting than anything in the cutscenes.
Yeah, me too. All these guys argue so much. One thing I really liked was how they balanced the visuals. This game looks great on console and on PC, which is good because the PC port of Ghosts was awful. But most of all, you can tell they've worked hard to balance resolution and texture quality to keep a smooth frame rate depending on the scale and size of the action. What I mean is, like, in some of the bigger action sequences, you can tell that maybe there's lower textures, but you don't care because that change in quality doesn't jolt you. And I love it how developers are experimenting more with this kind of thing lately.
Yeah, the mission structure has changed up a little bit as well. Towards the end of the 6-ish hour campaign, you can extend things further by playing a bunch of optional air combat and carrier assault missions, which give you perks that become very important on harder difficulties. They're fun missions, and you don't have to do them if you don't want to. But I was really impressed with the air combat. Look, as we all saw in the Battlefield 1 review, I'm not the best flyer in games, but I just found these controls to be so intuitive, it's almost impossible to get frustrated with them.
Yeah, they kind of nailed it. And you're right, the controls are so easy, but there's still enough business there, you know, like leading targets and changing weapons to keep things interesting. It's accessible in all the right ways.
And when you transition from ship to on-foot combat, thrilling.
Yeah, what a space adventure, Hex. It reminds me of all of my favorite sci-fi books, which are pretty much one alcoholic captain, you know, pulling the entire ship together to fight an oppressive force. I mean, he's not an alcoholic in this one, but it's kind of the same thing. That would make him more interesting, actually, if he was.
Sure, yeah.
Overall, this campaign is a nice shift on the COD design with a good rhythm and pace to the combat. Gives you time to breathe, with enough explosions in your face to get the heart pumping.
Yeah, there is actually a lot that's similar between this and Titanfall 2's excellent campaign. Robot friend.
Dauntless valor, Ethan.
Boundless terror, Captain.
Wall running, jetpacking around in space.
I will never get sick of jetpacking around space. It is just so much fun. And also, Titanfall 2 was made by Respawn, which is made up of a bunch of Infinity Ward alumni. So much coincidence, Hex. But you know what? I think the timing of this game is actually going to be really bad for Titanfall 2.
Yeah, and I just think Titanfall 2 is hands down the better game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, without a doubt. But it just doesn't really have that brand power, so if people are choosing...
Yeah. Get Battlefield 1, I guess.
No, get Titanfall 2. We could just get them all.
Get them all. Get them all is probably the best thing to do. When we first played the multiplayer for this game, it felt a little bit similar to last year's COD. It has the same movement system with wall running and jump packs.
We've lost the lead. Enemy UAV.
Blops 3 specialists are now gone, but in their place are rigs. These are basically a class-based system which offers different perks, weapons, and styles of play.
Yeah, it is very similar. And to be honest, I was left asking myself, is that enough? In a season where we've seen the spectacular all-out war of Battlefield 1, while Titanfall, in my opinion, has done this kind of fast-paced wall-running gameplay better, and it has giant robots that rain from the sky, can more of the same really compete?
Yeah, they definitely are playing it safe, that's for sure, but I also wonder how much it matters to the COD community. I have seen quite a few complaints online about a few things, though. Whether it's about pay-to-win microtransactions, unfair lag, or frustrating spawn points. Well, people always complain about spawn points and lag, but I still notice some of those issues myself.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be the first to admit I'm a complete scrub when it comes to competing in COD online, so I'll take any excuse I can get. But yeah, I struggle to find the fun this time. The time to kill, which is how long it takes for you to get killed, seems quicker than ever, and it's just this constant stream of death for me. If I've played on your team, I know I've let you down, and I'm sorry.
The thing that bugged me the most was the nature of the pay-to-win microtransactions, which unlock powerful rare gun variants. That's a legitimate complaint. You can still unlock all that without paying, but the pace you earn salvage, which is what you use to unlock the random packs, is just too slow. If you're going to have that pay-to-win element in your game, you need to make it fair. Otherwise, people are just going to feel like they're being squeezed for cash.
I just feel like it was a bit uninspired, and I think it might be its own worst enemy this year. Because if you buy a more expensive version of this game, you'll get a full remaster of the incredible Modern Warfare campaign and multiplayer with it. I just think it's going to massively split the player base, and a lot of COD fans are just going to play the remaster.
Yeah, I guess time will tell which one players gravitate towards. It is a great remaster of COD 4 Modern Warfare, though. Great game. But one thing I was surprised to see is that there's also the ever-popular zombie mode here. Which I guess they're just bringing to all future CODs now.
I guess so. But again, there's nothing here that changes up the zombie formula, really. You and up to 3 others run through a level, boarding up windows, buying guns, and buying access to new areas. Took ages to find a game, though.
I did love the 80s Spaceland theme park, though, although the celebrities in this outing are pretty weak.
This is a Willard Wyler production. Willard Wyler? You're late.
I mean, Pee Wee Herman and Seth Green, is that all you got?
Hey, David Hasselhoff too.
He's no Jeff Goldblum Hex. Well, we should wrap this up. You know, overall, I'm a little frustrated by the lack of innovation in the multiplayer, but I think they did a great job with that single-player campaign, so I'm going to chalk this up to 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, I would still say that Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2 are the better choices right now, but this is a solid outing for COD, so I'm going to give it 3.5 as well.
Compartments 12 through 21 damaged.
Retribution, break engagement, fall back!
I'll get him, Hex.
And where do you think you're going?
No! Bajo, he's too high level!
You're in my town now, you no good dirt-packing, mildewed saddle blanket!
Think, Hex. How you gonna get out of this one?
What is this? What is this? Is this a game? Did you name the game? Did you name the game for this one?
It was Tony Hawk's American Wasteland on console from 2005. This radical board-flipping adventure introduced a story mode that linked the levels together to give the game a semi-open world feel. And as I named the game because it was produced by Brian Bright, one of the directors on this week's Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
And don't forget to send us your own Did You Name the Game video entry for the chance to win some pretty cool stuff.
The mystery box.
Yes, the mystery box. All the details are on our website, so check it out.
Next week on the show, it's all about number 2s with Watch Dogs 2 and Dishonored 2. The 2s just keep on rolling, Hex. Keep on rolling in.
I say together, we tear down the wall. We undeniable.
Delilah's playing the long games. And now she's an empress.
Until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out. Hex, what will you be contributing to the mystery box?
I mean, I could probably part with one of my 20,000 Assassin's Creed statues.
You do have a lot of those.
Yeah. What about you?
Weird stuff.
Just weird stuff? You want to keep it a surprise. Keep it a mystery. Leave it weird. It's going to be a picture of his face in some form or another. Or shirtless photo of some sort.
Weird.